Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, taking the time and devoting some of your precious time actually to us and to our conference. My name is Georgi Penev. I'm the director of Bulgarian Fintech Association, and today I'll be your host and moderator for the whole event. Why we are all here today? We are all here because of the fintech sector, obviously, the industry in Bulgaria, and one of our cornerstone events called Bulgaria on the European FinTech Map. With this event, we release the so-called Annual FinTech Report, where we showcase the achievement of our sector. But before we proceed with the conference, I just wanted to express my gratitude, my personal gratitude, to the Ministry of Finance of Republic of Bulgaria, Financial Supervision Commission of Bulgaria, and all of the other players, including the European Commission, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and all of these players that joined our efforts towards the development of the fintech in Southeastern Europe. Lastly, I want to once again express a huge thank you to all of you guys who are interested in the topic. Being here and having all of you on today's conference meaning a lot to us. It means that we are on the right path, and hopefully we will achieve the results that we are aiming for. In the end, I wish you all to have great time and, of course, enjoy the conference. So how this event will go and what we will see throughout this really lengthy day from our side. So the event and today's agenda is split to three different parts. In the very beginning, we start with keynote speeches coming from the public sector of both Bulgaria and, of course, the European Union. And here we have the European Commission joining us. Then we continue with the presentation of the Annual FinTech Reports, the one that we released today. And right after that, we continue with a series of panels on couple of most important parts in the reports. Namely, here we have the fintech education discussion. Another one is the talent pool, and in specific women in fintech discussion that we will have, and many others. During the events, the audience can ask any questions, comments on the right-hand side, somewhere there, whether it's the Zoom or it's on YouTube or whatever you're watching us from. And one last thing, just keep in mind that we are being recorded, and this session is live streamed. So you can either watch us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you name it, when we are there. So in specific, the agenda today. So we have couple of really important things to share and really to present to you guys. So I now want to turn on the slideshow and the presentation that we prepared, just to show you how we're gonna go today. What are the main topics? Okay, let's go to the first slide, or the second. So the first part, just like I mentioned earlier, it will be the keynote speech session, where we have from one side the Ministry of Finance of Republic of Bulgaria. On another side, we have our foreign partners, the European Commission, joining with Mattias Levin, who is part and the deputy of head of unit of the so-called DG FISMA, the digital finance unit within the European Commission. And of course, last but not least, we have our chairman or president of Bulgarian Fintech Association, Valeri Valtchev, for a keynote coming from here from the live stream. And just before I forget about it, just to mention that today we are live streaming from our FinTech Hub called Untracked 127 or 127, which is located in the very center of Bulgaria, right next door to the Ministry of Finance. So it's the perfect place for any fintech to be. The second panel today is the one with the Annual FinTech Report. Here in this panel, it's going to be me, myself, and of course we call him the FinTech Guru of Bulgarian Fintech Association. We are joined here by Dejan Radev, who is the lecturer in FinTech and e-banking in Sofia University. So we have many things to share here, but I'll leave it for later. Let's go to the next session, the next panel. This panel is one of our main topics, not only for our report, but for our agenda within the association. This is one of our most important parts that we try to contribute to the development of the sector. Namely, this is the financial literacy and fintech initiatives that we have. Here we will be joined by the European Commission once again, talking about what are they doing in the field of digital finance literacy, and of course here on stage, we will have a discussion coming from both the private sector and public sector actors. Namely, here we have the Sofia University, we have Clear Lending, we have the group CTO of Flatex de Giro. So all of these people, and last but not least, Professor Daniel Bobeva, all of these people, they gather with us to discuss financial literacy and how important financial literacy is today. The next slide and the next panel is the so-called Women in FinTech panel. So this is another important topic for us, our association, and so we'll be talking about talent pool. And in specific, we'll be talking about the role of women in fintech. Once again, we will be joined by an European authority. Namely, here we have the European Parliament with Eva Meidel in the beginning for a short keynote speech. And then we have a discussion over here from Tract 127 about what is the role of women in fintech. Why do we have such a nice number when it comes to women in fintech here in our country, in Bulgaria. The next slide is about, and this panel will be about why Bulgaria? Why do we have fintech here within our jurisdiction? Why is it important? And of course, what are the investments? Probably many of you already heard that there is a great news about investments in fintech just today, but I'll keep it for a bit later. Here we'll be joined, this time it will be the Bulgarian authority. Namely, here we have the agency, the investment agency of Bulgaria, or Invest Bulgaria agency, with their executive director. We also have the mayor of the deputy mayor of Sofia joining us for the whole discussion. In the discussion, we also have BVCA, Bulgarian Venture Capital Association, with their executive director, Maria Marinova. And last but not least, we have the private sector. So like you can see, we have Nexo and Varengold Bank. So as you can see, in every single one of these panels that I just mentioned, we have the three main important things for to have a cluster. You have from one side the private sector, on another side the public sector, and academia. Let's proceed with the next panel. And this one will be probably not so interesting to some of you, but really, really important to all of us, to the whole fintech sector. Namely here, that's the fintech regulation panel, where we will be joined by the Financial Supervision Commission of Bulgaria, which is something really nice. This time they're supporting what we do here, and they will actually present what they've been doing in the last years towards the development of the fintech sector. We also have MasterCard. We have Nikolai Tsvetanov from Penkov Markov and Partners, one of the greatest professionals, greatest lawyers in fintech here in Bulgaria. And last but not least, we have Preisera and Bulgarian Fintech Association, a representative of us, sharing their opinion on fintech and fintech regulation, of course. The next slide, please. And this is the very last panel today. Here we will be talking about technologies in fintech. Probably we have to mention the buzzword blockchain, AI, machine learning, but what does it stand behind all of these buzzwords? We have to figure it out. Last but not least, we will have a topic on and a discussion on open finance. Why is it open finance so important? What does that mean? And what are the solutions that we might see in the next couple of years? All right, that's pretty much everything. Of course, we'll just finish off with a small talk coming from our secretary, like the closing words. But let's keep the agenda on a side for now, and we'll get back to it a couple of times throughout the day. And now I'm giving the floor to the Deputy Minister of Finance, Minister of Finance, Ms. Monika Beecher. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, actually. Thank you very much for hosting this event. And dear guests, the audience, participants, on behalf of the Minister of Finance and myself, I would like, first of all, to thank for this invitation. It's a very important event for us, and also it's important to show that public sector, in the face of Minister of Finance, is not only supporting such kind of events, as you can see, release of the Bulgarian FinTech Report for 2021, but also we are partners with such organization and FinTech industry in general, and specifically for the Bulgarian Fintech Association. So in this respect, I would like really to thank for being such a cooperative partner in all the activities that we are working on at national, international level. So I will say just a few words, and I'm really very pleased that the participants today are for all sectors that have been mentioned. Business, public, private sector, also non-profit association, and universities, which shows that really the cooperation between all partners and participants is really very important for the successful feedback and outcome of all specific topics related with the financial service area. So, first of all, we all know that it's very important. The new technologies, innovations are really top priority at the moment. The COVID-19 was also a very strong, output for all the increasing technologies, digitalization, and the start of the green technologies in general. So the FinTech topic is really very important today, and it will be extremely important tomorrow. In this respect, the Ministry of Finance is also having a great role at the European level regarding the new packages, regulations, and related with the technologies and the FinTech area. As you already know, and the colleagues from the Fintech Association as well, the digital finance package is ongoing at the moment. And actually, it's really very important to have this partnership with different associations, and specifically the Fintech Association, to support us with their point of view and having the discussion related with these new packages that is ongoing. And this package is in two main areas. The first one is related with the operational sustainability of digital technologies. And the second one is related with the market in crypto assets. Both topics are really very important. And if there is some kind of problem, just tell me. I will fix it as much as I can. So this is the other risk for the technologies nowadays. You should have everything solve in the right moment. So going back to the topic, as I have mentioned, it's very important with the new legislative package, I mean the new regulation at the European level. It's very important to have either the support on the national level regarding the limits and the risk that we have with these new technologies, and to have them in mind. And secondly, to have the necessary supervision in this area. For the first one, we have all the players on the market which are included in this new package. And the aim is not only the players which are not included in the area, but also the ones that are excluded to be in the area, and in addition to that, to have the necessary supervision of all the players in order to have control of the whole field. The second one, and it's a really very challenging field, but it's getting more and more interest. It's related with the markets with the crypto assets. This is brand new area, and the subject matter is really very important to be put in the framework that we can control and that we can put the risks on the side, or just to control them in order not to harm all the players and everyone at the market, to be safe. In addition to that, we have numerous working groups, and the guys from the association knows that, and they're including in this process related with these topics. And maybe the one that I would like to emphasize, it was mentioned already, is related with the financial literacy. We have elaborated our national strategy related with this financial literacy. In addition to that, we have our action plan till 2025, in which the specific measures and aims are set up. And we are moving slowly, but very, very, how to say, with great desire and very stable in fulfilling these aims. We have our connection with the digitalization, and it's important these two topics to be related, and it's included in our national strategy and the action plan for this. So we are moving ahead also in addition to this topic. We are moving ahead with one really very important project with us, with the OECD. 7 countries are including, which shows that Ministry of Finance and Bulgaria in general is in the core countries which are dealing with this specific topic with financial literacy. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, we have our event under this project, which is really very important. And thank you for being part also of this project. And thank you for being really active participant in all the processes related with the digitalization, with the financial services, and all the topics related with the financial markets and regulation of the whole framework. Just to conclude, because I know that timing is very important also in such an event, is just to wish luck and to have a productive agenda today. It looks really very hopeful, having in mind all the participants today. And I really believe that the feedback of today's event will be a start of new ideas and new, how to say, viewpoints that we will be able to discuss in future on behalf of the Minister of Finance. Thank you very much once again, and I hope this will be just the beginning of something really very important for the future. Thank you. Shall I go?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the support and, of course, of the projects that we are part of. So we'll continue our work, that's for sure. And just wanted to point it out that it is really important. It is really important to have the Ministry of Finance on our side, because that's the only way to go forward, actually. So we have Mattias Levin from the European Commission joined today. Mattias, can you hear us?
I can hear you very well. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. So there you go. The floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. And apologies for not being with you in person, but speaking from Brussels, and I hope that is a sufficiently good substitute. What I thought could be useful today is to place this day's event a little bit in a broader context and provide a little bit of a European perspective on how we see digital policies and the broader strategies and policies that we aim to kind of put in motion at the European level, because we think that could be kind of an interesting background for the kind of fintech scenes which are developing at national level as well, to be a little bit aware of the kind of forces that are in motion at European level and the policies that we are putting in place to kind of nudge and shape those forces. So a little bit of a policy perspective from the Commission's viewpoint. So of course, digital transformation, very broad, affecting all sectors of the economy, including financial sectors, fintech firms.
Sorry for interrupting you, Mattias.
Yeah.
Your camera is not on.
I tried to put it on, but it did not
That's totally
want
fine.
to.
No
because
worries.
the host has stopped it. I don't know if there's something you can do your side, perhaps.
We'll do our best, yeah.
Okay, just flag and then I'll try again. So anyway, digital finance, important part, but of course it's part of kind of a broader digital agenda at European level as well, which is aimed to make Europe fit for the digital age. And I think this was kind of set out very clearly by the Commission President about a year ago in the State of Union speech, where she kind of coined the term Europe's digital decade, and where she kind of put it very clearly that Europe must now lead the way in digital. Otherwise, we will have to follow the way of others who will set the standards for us. So that is something we don't want. We believe that we need to set European standards to get a digital sector that suits our values, our needs, and our customers, consumers, and firms. And therefore, a big accent also on a real data economy, because we think that would be a kind of a powerful engine for innovation and new jobs. And therefore, that from European level, we would like to put an emphasis on common data spaces. So that's very much the kind of the big policy items. Europe leading the way in digital in order not to only rely upon others, and to kind of emphasize the digital as a kind of a vector and engine for innovation and jobs. Now, the key principle that then we use that sets digital policies more generally is to have a technology that works for people, for example, in a form that responsible artificial intelligence, investments in connectivity and the like, as well as a fair and competitive economy, so a data strategy that focuses on that to achieve competition, for example, via the Digital Markets Act that focuses a lot on these big platforms to ensure that they do not operate uncompetitively and that we have a good kind of basis for all kinds of firms, big and small, to be able to compete. And at the same time, a kind of an open, democratic and sustainable society. And that we have worked very much via the Digital Services Act, European e-identities and the like, that are going to put that in place. However, so that is very much the kind of general scene. Now, in terms of digital finance, what are the key objectives that we have put in place there? Well, it's really to kind of shape policies that embraces digital finance for the good of consumers and businesses, and to kind of translate this kind of sovereignty objective, which I alluded to before, by driving digital finance with strong European market players, perhaps Bulgarian, in the lead. And all this to set policies based on European values and, as well, a sound regulation of risks. Because, of course, digital finance presents both opportunities, but there may also be challenges and risks which, from a kind of public policy perspective, would need to be addressed. So that's why we then, last year, set out a strategy containing 4 kind of broad priorities that will guide the Commission's actions in the next few years when it comes to digital finance. The first priority is to tackle fragmentation in the digital single market, to make it easier for consumers to tap opportunities across the single market. Be it a consumer in France should be able to kind of contract easily with an interesting fintech startup. Why not in Bulgaria, for example? Or vice versa, Bulgarian customers should be able to kind of contract easily with a fintech startup in another country. Here, a lot of emphasis on digital identities, for example. A second priority is to kind of look at the rules that we put in place, the EU regulatory framework, to ensure that it facilitates digital innovation. I saw from some of the chat functions that come up, but of course there are questions there. We have lots of rules and regulations in place. They are most often, if I dare say, there for good reason. But of course, it falls upon us to ensure that they also work in the new digital finance context, to ensure that they don't put undue obstacles, to refit them if need be. For example, we've done that when it comes to crypto assets, for example, where we looked at the kind of existing securities market legislation, realized it was not entirely fit for purpose, and put proposals for changes on the table. A third priority would then be to kind of look at data sharing and pooling and aggregation of data, and to kind of make it possible to kind of create a European financial data space that will make it easier to share and pool data across the union for financial services. So building on open banking, moving towards open finance. These are all three priorities focusing very much on opportunities. But of course, as I alluded to just before, there are challenges and risks that need to be addressed as well. One challenge we're already working hard on is kind of digital operational resilience. Financial firms are increasingly dependent upon technology companies and many others for the provision of their financial services. It is important that financial firms are resilient to that risks. We also see a lot of new firms, many of you here, entering into financial regulation. Sometimes it's very clear which rules apply, sometimes it is not, and that we have to work on upon it as well. So here we are, for the time being, working very closely with the so-called European supervisory authorities who are assessing what to do and are in the process of providing advice for us. So I think the overall objective here, as I said, embrace digital innovation, create strong European market players for the benefit of opportunities for consumers, while at the same time protecting consumers. I thought this kind of provides you with an overview of what we're doing in Brussels for the time being, and the kind of the actions that we are taking to shape and guide the process of ongoing digital transformation that is rapidly unfolding across the European Union, and of which Bulgaria is one example. So very interesting to take part in this event. Very interesting to gain knowledge of the fintech scene that today's event is going to unveil. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you very much for giving us the floor.
All right. Thank you so much, Mattias. Thank you for being here. Thank you, of course, for all the support once again to all of you, to the whole European Commission that we work together with. And now I just wanted to give the floor to Valeri Valtchev, who is the chairman of Bulgarian Fintech Association, our president, with his keynote speech for today's event. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, George, and I'd like to welcome everybody to today's event. I want to start with a retrospect where we were 3 years ago when we started the Bulgarian Fintech Association. There were very few fintechs, if any. Actually, there were those of us who set up the association in the beginning. And there was not much, but I think now you're going to see in this report quite a lot of information, quite a lot of companies. We have now about 59 members. We have identified 135 fintechs in Bulgaria. This doesn't count the banks, so 135 without them. We have also the academia joining the Bulgarian Fintech Association, which is great because the talent pool is needed for the fintech sector. There are a lot of activities, and special thanks to Georgi and the team of the Bulgarian Fintech Association for putting all this effort in this report. I hope you enjoy going through it. But what I see is really a cluster shaping up in Bulgaria, and this is something that we didn't have before. We needed that very much. I see that the public institutions are also involved in the process, and this is to a large extent of all the efforts that we've put in. So we have efficient and effective support. We have the right education for the talent pool, and we have a real ecosystem, which is great. And today there is a big piece of news that I'd like to share with you that later today we're going to talk in detail about. This is a Bulgarian fintech company announced earlier today a round of $112 million, valuing the company at $570 million. And this is record-breaking not only for Bulgaria. This is the second largest Series B for a B2B company in the whole of Central and Eastern Europe. And this is the third largest Series B in the whole of Europe. So this is a special moment in the history of Bulgarian fintech. I hope there will be more coming up. I think there are a couple of other players. Some of them are members of the association, others not. But I hope that soon we're going to have a billion-dollar company coming out of Bulgaria and really to become the center of fintech for the whole of Central and Eastern Europe. I think this can be a reality soon. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the presentations later on.
Thank you so much, Valeri. It's always a pleasure having you. And thank you for giving me actually the carte blanche for having all of these nice things that we do in the association and calling ourselves, in the end of the day, a proper cluster organization, uniting in one place academia, private sector, and public sector. All right, so that was the first part of our conference with the keynote speeches. Now we have a short break, and then we proceed with the most important piece of the whole conference, the release of Annual FinTech Report 2021. Stay tuned, and see you back in 5 minutes.